Welcome to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, where 80,000 have been whipped into a frenzy. It's a home opener under the lights for the undefeated Gamecocks. In that mess of South Carolina players, donned in all black, stands sophomore quarterback Jake Bentley. He was born into a football family, raised to enter an arena just like this. Son of a coach, off the field, calm, cool, and collected. On the field, an emotional leader for these undefeated Gamecocks. Welcome to SEC Saturday Night, presented by Holiday Inn Express. The East is wide open, and two foes meet on the field to see who will have a leg up. 2-0 Kentucky and 2-0 South Carolina. Hope you're ready for another SEC Saturday Night. We are for this big one between the Cats and the Gamecocks. Tom Harton alongside Jordan Rogers. When you consider what Jake Bentley has done and the way he plays with emotion, you can figure that he's going to get these people on their feet a couple times tonight.
Absolutely. There's not a stage that has been too big for a very young Jake Bentley. Just 9 starts under his belt. What I love about this kid is he's not only got the skill set that bodes well for him having a very successful career in South Carolina, being very good in the East, but the emotion and the passion that this young kid plays the game of football is really unmatched today, and that's what rallies his team around him. That's why his guys play so very, very hard for him. One of the more competitive guys that I've ever been around. It just means a little bit more to Jake Bentley. Very fun to watch.
Yeah, he's kind of like an SEC model. It just means more, and you see it on the field from this kid who's been fantastic as a starter and still growing into that role. Kentucky knows they'll have their hands full with the Gamecocks' skilled players and those matchups throughout the game tonight. And Jordan, that means if Kentucky wants to have a shot tonight, they're going to have to be disruptive on defense.
Yeah, it's kind of both sides of the ball. South Carolina hasn't ran well. Kentucky is top 10 defense against the run in the country. Jake Bentley's going to have to pass the ball. If Kentucky has a chance tonight, and they do have a chance, but if they're going to be successful against Jake Bentley, they got to disrupt him. They got to get to him with the pass rush, and they have to turn the ball over, force him into errant throws, force him into bad decisions. He's still young, hasn't shown a ton of that, but they're going to have to do it tonight.
And no matter where Benny Snell lines up, they need to make sure they get production from their running back. For more on that, let's go down to the field as we say good evening to Cole Kublik.
Hey, Tom, Benny Snell was a 1,000-yard rusher a season ago. I spoke to Eddie Grant, Kentucky offensive coordinator, before the game. He said, patience, Cole, patience. Patience will be critical in this ball game. Patience with the game plan. Patience sticking with Benny Snell. This football team had 9 runs of 9 yards or more a season ago. They don't have that type of explosiveness this season. Benny Snell can be that guy. I believe the big plays will come if they're patient with their offense, their scheme, and running back Benny Snell.
Well, South Carolina has a big play guy in their own right. Deebo Samuel, one of the most efficient kick returners in the nation. And the expectations are high. Why? He is 2 for 2 this season. 2 kick returns, 2 touchdowns. And the lid may come off this place before we get wrinkles in our pants if he can take one back here tonight.
I imagine they're going to try as hard as they can to kick away from him, Tom, but he is special with the ball in his hands.
Awesome McGinnis kicks it off. They will give South Carolina great field position by avoiding Deebo. And a short return by Chris Lamons and Jake Bentley. And South Carolina will be in great field position with the dynamic Deebo Samuel now lining up at wide receiver. Bentley is 6-3 as a starter. He is efficient, second in school history in completion percentage behind only Connor Shaw. And he was born, as I said earlier, to do this. His dad is the running backs coach. His brothers both played or play college football. He left high school early to be in this position. And now he's taken a snap for a team that has shown great promise. He's got Rico Dowdle in the backfield next to him. And on the first play, they're trying to pop it over the middle. It's Deebo, and Deebo Samuel's got the sideline. Yes, sir, 1 play, 1 score. 6th touchdown this season for Samuel. He's done it just about every way, and Deebo gets the weekend started right. Alexander Wozniak for the point after. He misses it right, but South Carolina gets 6 early on the matchup between Bentley and Samuel.
And Tom, something they haven't done a ton of, but this is an RPO. They're going to try to affect this linebacker right here. You're going to see with the play action of the running back, he's going to step up, which leaves the post right behind for Deebo Samuel's wide open, a well-delivered ball. And once he's got the ball in his hands, nobody's going to catch him. It's a well executed play, and something that, you know, I talked to offensive coordinator Kurt Roper about. We hadn't seen a ton of the RPO, the run pass options, because Bentley's so very good at the line of scrimmage, but we see it on the first play, and it hits big with this Kentucky defense playing the run very aggressively.
It covers 68 yards. The only downside is South Carolina missed its first point after in their last 164 attempts, going back to the great Elliott Fry, who only missed one in his career. The last time they missed one was 4 years ago when Fry was a freshman. Line drive kick and no chance for a return for Kentucky. Deebo was indeed named after the character in the movie Friday, and he starts him off with a statement. That's my bike, punk.
You just see the action of the Kentucky players biting on that run and the pure speed and athleticism that Deebo Samuel has. And there we were talking about the emotion. Boy, if he gets on a roll, we're going to see plenty of that today.
These fans have been primed for this game all day, maybe a couple of weeks now. 2-0 after wins against NC State and on the road at Missouri. Kentucky is 2-0. Their wins were a lot harder to come by. Stephen Johnson, their starting quarterback, with Benny Snell behind him. And on play action, he goes to his tight end, C.J. Conrad, who's a big playmaker, and that goes for 17. Kentucky's going to try to go tempo here after the big completion. Four-man rush. Johnson over the middle. Into traffic and picked off by Sky Moore. Will Muschamp says Sky Moore just has an affinity for the football. Fantastic intuition. He's been an interception machine. And back from injury that caused him to miss all of last season, he's been an impact player here this year early.
Tom, the heart and soul of this defense. Leading tackles every single year he's been on the field, but that's also his 12th interception of his career. He's got an uncanny ability. Look at him reading Stephen Johnson's eyes there. He's supposed to be dropping in coverage in the opposite way, but he's so talented and so instinctual.
They pull to the right side. Dowdle gets hogtied there, but somehow squirts forward for 3. Mike Edwards from his safety spot with a tackle. Mark Stoops, a head coach at Kentucky, 3-1 against South Carolina. They've been comeback victories. They've been victories that have been spurred by special teams and defensive scores. He took over the defensive play calling partway through last season. He said, now we know we won't get beat schematically, but we are very worried about South Carolina's skill players. And we saw good reason for that on the first play from scrimmage. Bentley deep to the outside, too strong. Trying to find Casey Crosby. 3rd down and 12.
And Tom, Stoops took over the play calling last year. Actually did the game that he took over play calling. Really wanted to revamp this defense, get his guys more zone eyes, playing more to their strength. And now with new defensive coordinator Matt House, they had a chance to build this defense from the ground up. They're not doing everything completely different schematically, but they're able to tailor this defense around their strengths. Obviously not with or without Jordan Jones tonight, but in that secondary, more zone eyes, more zone coverage. And you see them playing off tonight.
Third down 12. Deebo line up to the left side. Bentley to Dowdle out of the backfield. He gets upended shy of the first down marker on a gain of 7. Derek Beatty Jr.
South Carolina's going to stay out there.
Now bringing Bentley off now. They used 2 kickers. Wozniak, who missed the point after, and Parker Wilhite, who's a walk-on but good for long field goals. They're going to stick with Wozniak here. 1 for 2 on the season with a long of 32. He'll be attempting a 52-yarder from the left hash. Danny Gordon is the holder. First career field goal attempt for the redshirt freshman out of Wando High School in Mount Pleasant. From 52, and got the leg, and he pushed it wide right. 2 missed kicks here early for South Carolina, including an extra point miss. It was her first miss and a point after since September of 2013. The right side, and Benny Snell for a couple. And Cole, that's made a big difference for the South Carolina defense early.
It has allowed them to play much better run defense technically and fundamentally, but Jeff Dillman is a prototype of Tommy Moffitt at LSU, considered to be the godfather of strength training in the SEC. You talk to pro scouts who've come through Columbia, they'll tell you this team just looks completely different. The individuals, that man on your screen right there is responsible for a lot of that reason that these guys have become just completely different football players, and that grip strength at the line of scrimmage is a big reason why.
Steven Johnson over the middle on the slant, incomplete. Oddly enough, they credit a bucket of rice for the grip strength. And Jordan, something you're familiar with, it's simply grinding and kneading that rice to build up the forearm strength.
Yeah, it's one of those old school things I feel like every weight room in college has. Just a bucket of rice. You stick your hands in, you knead it. You do it 100, 200, 300 times at the end of every workout, and you start to get those forearms a little pumped.
Well, if he worked with Tommy Moffitt, he was doing something right. The LSU strength and conditioning coach started yelling at me last week when I was on the elliptical at their place. 3rd and 8. Johnson over the middle, first down for King. And he takes it inside the 40. Another 3rd down conversion, and that one covers 18 yards.
And a savvy play there by Steven Johnson. Holds in the pocket very well. They're trying to push the ball downfield. Nothing's there, and hit the check down for what ends up being a big gain and a first down.
70 yards through the air for Kentucky thus far tonight. 61 of those have come after the catch. Benny Snell in the Wildcat. Snell straight ahead. And he pushes for 4.
You can already tell early on this plan for Eddie Grant in this offense, after big plays, after momentum plays, whether it's 8, 10 yards or longer than that, they want to get to the ball quick, get in Wildcat, try to steal some more yards while South Carolina is trying to adjust and figure out who's back there at quarterback.
Johnson back at quarterback. Communication in the back end for South Carolina. Chris Lamons looks a little lost back there. Here's Snell. Maybe one, trying to work behind that still improving Kentucky offensive line. They've had to shuffle a number of starters up front. Their left guard, Logan Stenberg, didn't play his best game last week, according to the coaches, but he's the only starter who's been in the same spot now all 3 games. Mark Soup's having headset issues. He can't hear, he says. It's been an issue for a couple of weeks for South Carolina. 3rd down 5. Complete for a first down. Garrett Johnson, the senior, takes it to the 20. Lamons finally brought him down.
Love the game plan so far. You got 2 receivers on the outside running off. And Guice Johnson so good at those cuts, so good at getting out of his breaks. That's the reason he's the leading receiver for Kentucky right now, able to create space and create openings. Great anticipation there for Johnson. They got a drive going here. Can they finish it out as they get into the red zone here?
9th play of this drive. Whoa, Scott Moore got a little anxious. Free play for Kentucky. And it'll go for 9 to Charles Walker. Cole just checked on that headset situation. Apparently, Mark Stoops has figured out, and his headset's working now. If it wasn't, as South Carolina discovered week 1 against NC State, both teams would have to shut off their headsets. Will Muschamp wasn't too pleased about that week 1 in Charlotte. Back to the Wildcat and Benny Snell, 10th play of the drive. Snell's going to throw it. Steven Johnson couldn't haul it in. It was there, and the first down was just waiting for the senior quarterback.
And Tom, with the Wildcat, you have a quarterback that splits out. Most of the time, the defense doesn't really respect that. They'll kind of cut the difference or maybe even not put a guy over there. They didn't that time. If you can see, there is nobody over there, just one guy over the top of 2 over there.
But that can still be effective because now Carolina knows that they will possibly throw it out.
Oh, yeah. That'll drag somebody out of the box.
Johnson wants to throw, looking for his tight end. It is caught. Beautiful hands by Greg Hart. 2 tight ends out on that route, and he's able to go to the guy underneath for a first down.
Remember, Eddie Gran said we want to get in 2 tight end sets so we can go Wildcat, and then we can pull out a Wildcat, but we got to be able to make plays with 2 tight ends on the field. Great throw, great catch, great concentration. For a South Carolina defense that is 109th nationally in yards and total yards, they are 16th in the country in red zone. They are very, very stout when you get inside the 20.
It's freshman Lynn Bowden in the Wildcat. 1st and goal, Kentucky. Bowden keeps it. And he's inside the 5.
And Tom, Bowden's a guy that played quarterback in high school. So if they can have Benny Snell back there sometimes, Bowden back there sometimes, they split out 2 guys and no one's covered again. I imagine they're going to want Lynn Bowden throwing that instead of Benny Snell. But South Carolina's going to have to keep an eye on not just whether there's a quarterback or whether they're in Wildcat, but who is back there.
Injured South Carolina player Taylor Stallworth, the senior defensive lineman, is still on the field. South Carolina's red zone defense has been stout. We talked about where they are overall. A lot of bend but don't break, especially last week in that win on the road against Missouri.
T-Rob and Muschamp both pleased with the depth they have at the defensive line. Kinlaw's a guy that has leaned out from his 340 frame. He's playing lighter. He's playing with more explosiveness. Keir Thompson as well, that's on the outside. More so now, played at 260 on the inside. Last year, they're happy with the depth they have, but they need number 90, Stallworth, in there. So interesting to see how serious that injury is.
13th play of the drive for Kentucky. They'll empty Johnson out. Snell in the Wildcat. Straight ahead. Motors his way to the goal line and in. Touchdown, Kentucky, from Benny Snell Jr. They run the Wildcat again, but that was the first time they motioned the quarterback out.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Because they didn't line somebody up over Steven Johnson earlier and they threatened to throw that, he motioned out, but he had to leave with Steven Johnson with the threat of that throw that we saw just a few plays ago.
Austin McGinnis on to attempt the extra point. And with a minute left in the first quarter, Kentucky has its first lead in a series they've won 3 in a row. It was a short kick on the initial kickoff to try to keep it away from Deebo Samuel. Mark Stoops says we're going to try to keep it away from him all game. They may surrender field position to do that. And they'll do that here with A.J. Turner gets spun around. Turner tries to cut it up. Mouthpiece goes flying, and he's brought down short of the 20. 5. And so Rico Dowdle takes it ahead just past the 20 for 3. We talked with Jake Bentley yesterday about his kind of welcome to college football moment. And he said, listen, I was a third-string quarterback. I didn't know where I stood from a leadership perspective. I had other guys who were upperclassmen in front of me. So going to the Georgia game, and on that Monday, I took 2 snaps, 2 reps with the ones. A week later, I took 60. Things sped up really fast for Jake Bentley. Dowdle on 2nd and 7. And Kentucky's swarming defense gets to him after a gain of 4. That'll bring up a 3rd down here towards the end of the first quarter.
That's how it goes for a young quarterback, Tom. 1 minute you got 1 or 2 reps against probably the 2nd or 3rd strings, and the next you're the face of the franchise or the face of the program as it is here in college. So he's had an expedited journey, and he's still maturing in front of us.
He represents the future of this South Carolina program. Young and full of promise, but right now they're down by a digit as we head to the second quarter. We saw a guy setting up his satellite dish yesterday about noon. He was the only one out in the fair parking lot, but he was ready. On 3rd down, they're going to be held short. Courtney Love came up to make a stop, and a little bit extra pushing and shoving. Love is one of the Youngstown kids. He's had a Cardinal Mooney, home of the Stoops and the Pellinis. Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and Courtney Love came up with a big hit to leave him short, and South Carolina is going to have to punt it away. Joseph Charlton to kick to Charles Walker. Almost got to it, and Kentucky will take a fair catch at the 32. 41-yard punt. This is a Kentucky team now with some momentum under head coach Mark Stoops, former Iowa defensive back. He and a couple of his brothers played for Hayden Fry at Iowa. His late dad Ron was a defensive coordinator at Cardinal Mooney. Ron Stoops Jr. was coaching against him the night their dad suffered a heart attack during a high school football game. At the funeral, Bob Stoops put his Iowa Rose Bowl ring in the casket with their dad, who was buried with that number 41 Iowa jersey. And his spirit lives on in all of these kids that were born in and raised in the game. From the moment they could walk, they would tag along to practices, and at night the Stoops family would watch film with the projector on the kitchen table projecting onto the refrigerator.
It's amazing how sometimes things are just in your blood. You're just meant to do things. That family was meant to coach.
Gain of 6 as they work in another tight end.
So far, this game plan is exactly what Eddie Gran wanted to see. We've seen them change tempo. Now they're going to spread out South Carolina defense. You got to feel like this drive is one of those times they're going to try to take a shot. When are we going to see that? What type of coverage are they looking for?
Over the middle and incomplete. Jamarcus King had the coverage on K'Wan Ross, and that will leave 3rd and 4. Is there an ideal, you talk about Kentucky taking shots, is there an ideal down and distance to do that? Obviously 3rd and 4 is not the time.
Well, usually when you cross the 50, it's more on a 1st or 2nd down. So if they do convert this, cross the 50, you might see a shot here in the next drive, next series or so. Right here, got to imagine going to get guys past the sticks and maybe get Johnson outside the pocket.
They've been efficient on 3rd down. King joins Johnson in the backfield. They're going to run a little zone read looking for 4 yards. King has that and more. Past midfield, and Kentucky has a fresh set of downs in Gamecock territory on a gain of 18.
Just when I thought it was going to be a pass, you go with the outside zone. This is a read play. Johnson has the opportunity to pull, but that end knifes in, which means they have numbers on the outside, and a great job by King of getting to the outside with speed, but then getting vertical.
5 of 6 on 3rd downs. Would you take a shot here?
This is a great spot for a shot. Great spot. One-on-one coverage here at the bottom of your screen.
Johnson on play action, looking to go deep, but he's pressured. Dumps it over the middle, incomplete. Juice Johnson was the nearest receiver. But South Carolina spoiled their plans with a little bit of pressure.
That was it there, bottom of your screen. Blake Bone tried to get him on a post. The protection just on the top of the screen there from the right side didn't quite hold up long enough for Johnson to be able to get his eyes downfield and realize Bone had him with the step there. But see, and you're still fine here. 2nd and 10 on the other side of the 50. No harm, no foul. Take your shot and move on.
Little delayed draw. Benny Snell gets tripped up. Dante Sawyer got him by the foot. It's a gain of 4. So 3rd down 6. Kentucky loves their tight ends. They'll trade one for a wide receiver here. But C.J. Conrad is still on the field. They also love the Wildcat. Maybe they'll go back to that. Conrad attached on the right side. He'll be at the top of your screen. Run pass option, complete to the edge. An extra effort for Garrett Johnson to pick up a 1st down. We talk a lot about RPOs, run pass options. How does that simplify the game for the quarterback?
Well, it just makes sure that you're always making the right decision. And when those linebackers play the run, you create space on the outside, you're able to hit a receiver. Those linebackers, although it was just very minor, it was a slight hesitation, just grabbing their eyes for a second ensures that they are 1/2 a step slower to that receiver. You have a little bit of space, but the play there was made by getting vertical after the catch. We used to call that puncture the bubble. Puncture the bubble, catch the ball, get vertical, especially on 3rd down.
Johnson will hand it off this time to Benny Snell, and he rips off a gain of 11. Well, they'll call it 10, and we'll see if it's good enough for a 1st down. Looked like it from here. You like this balance so far from the Kentucky offense?
Love the balance. And another thing these long drives are doing, Tom. You hear the crowd? They're out of it.
Yeah, no.
These drives, you don't. And you heard it so loud early, but these drives keep that crowd quiet, keep momentum on your side, eating up the clock. Picture perfect so far for Eddie Grant in this offense.
14 runs against 17 passes for their 31 plays from scrimmage. Steven Johnson will keep this one. I think twice about that. He gets crunched. Jamarcus King came up from his cornerback spot. Daniel Fennell was the first one to meet him.
T.J. Brunson getting mixed up in that tackle as well. When you have a mobile quarterback, you got to do something when they go zone read. Either charge the mesh, make him make a quick decision, or you crash on the running back and you scrape a linebacker. And that's what we saw there. It's a great, sound defensive scheme against a mobile quarterback.
Another long, sustained drive for Kentucky. This will be the 9th play of this one. We got Snell on the wheel route, going to the tight end. C.J. Conrad up the middle. Conrad making people miss. Rumbling to the goal line. And he is just short of the goal line on a gain of 20. How about Benny Snell selling that one?
I love this call right here. A tight end middle screen. We used to run this in junior college. It was one of my favorite plays ever. Get some misdirection when you've been running the ball well. Tight end just leaks in the middle and nobody's watching. Heck of an effort there.
Back to the Wildcat, Benny Snell. High snap again. Got it, and he's got to score. Benny Snell with his 2nd touchdown run of the night.
Just really impressed with what Eddie Grant's doing here. Changing personnel groups, bringing 2 tight ends in at times. I mean, this South Carolina defense is confused about what's happening, especially even with this Wildcat formation. Whether it's a counter, whether it's a power. That Wildcat always brings an extra hat to the table for Kentucky and allows them better numbers, especially in the goal line. Aside from the early interception, this offensive approach by Eddie Grant has been perfectly scripted.
Austin McGinnis bangs through the point after. A couple of big plays in that drive. Will Muschamp's defense having a hard time figuring out the Wildcat. Deebo Samuel has been moved up here for South Carolina. He's at the 15-yard line. Because Kentucky kicked it short each of the last 2. And now they kick it deep, and A.J. Turner is bottled up at the 15-yard line. So South Carolina trying to move their chess pieces around a little bit, but couldn't pay it off. Premature celebration that day. Here's A.J. Turner straight ahead. And he's able to gash Kentucky before Darius Rest stopped him after a gain of 7.
A.J. Turner's got some burst now. He started for the first 5 games last year before Dowdle took over. You can see the skill there, really the explosiveness that he brings to the table. Each one of these running backs is kind of a hot hand. You know, Rico Dowdle's the guy that'll be in most. He's the best in pass protection, but whoever's got the hot hand is going to continue to stay out there with running back coach Bobby Bentley giving it to him.
Turner's a guy that stands 5'10", 185, but he's not afraid to lay a lick now. He did that in the Missouri game last week. He will lower his shoulder on you.
He's a powerful runner. You see the burst that I was talking about, great cut there and then getting vertical. I don't care if you're the most talented running back or the least talented running back on the roster. The ability to make one cut and get vertical, so very, very important.
That's Carolina's first down since the opening play to Deebo Samuel. Batted away and incomplete. Jake Bentley last year became the first quarterback since John David Booty to skip his senior year of high school to play major college football. I think Matt Elam comes up with a big paw to swat this one down.
Yeah, Matt Elam, a guy that's had a ton of criticism. Came in with so much hype and so much upside, waiting for him to be dominant. Great job there. When you don't get to the quarterback, get your hands up.
Who's criticizing him?
I mean, I was probably at the forefront of that. Did a Kentucky game last year. I thought Nakez Pringle brought a little bit more to the table, a little more physicality, a little more explosiveness.
2nd and 20. There's Hayden Hurst, just shy of the first down. The junior from Jacksonville out of the Bowl School with a gain of 19. Hand-to-hand combat in there afterwards.
Boys, he's something. One of the better tight ends, maybe in the country, definitely in the SEC right now. Up the seam on a 2-beater, big body. Happens to be Jake Bentley's best friend, so you know he's looking his way a little more frequently probably, but the athleticism, the catch radius, you got to get the ball.
What's a 2-beater?
Yeah, 2-beater. So they were in 2 high, 2 safeties there. When you have that look, you want to run someone down the middle. Bentley's got to do a good job getting the ball high enough over those linebackers, but with enough velocity to get underneath those receivers. Safeties.
On 3rd and 2, Rico Dowdle covers it for 3 yards. A first down now. This is a guy, Hayden Hurst, that Jake Bentley really leans on. They're good friends. They hang out a lot. It must be nice as a quarterback to know that you have somebody that size that's that reliable.
That size, that type of relationship, and I can't stress enough his catch radius. When you turn on the film, Missouri, NC State, there were some balls that, frankly, Bentley was a little off on behind him, but if it's anywhere within 5, 6, 7 feet of his chest, he's going to get it.
He's got Hurst over the middle, and he checks down over the middle. That's Dowdle. Clock is at 14 and running.
They're going to spike it here, try to save as much so they can get much time as possible to get a shot in the end zone.
They do just that. 5 seconds remain. They missed a 52-yarder earlier. This would be a 49 or 50-yard attempt. Parker White pushed that 52-yarder wide, even though he had the leg for it. Second field goal attempt of his young career. Danny Gordon, the holder. Officially, this from 49. What's Will Muschamp got on his mind? And he's going to leave it right. Once again, he had the leg, but the accuracy not there. It was a game and a half that started off so promising for South Carolina on a 68-yard catch and score between Jake Bentley and Deebo Samuel. But Kentucky took over late, and the Cats have the lead at the half. Now let's take it to the studio. Dari, Chiz, and Dorrance. 80,000 in Williams-Brice Stadium tonight, and they kind of had a feeling that South Carolina would roll after that first play. But the offense non-existent since. It's a 14-6 lead for Kentucky. Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. From a Kentucky perspective, this has been the perfect game plan and the perfect execution.
Yeah, as we heard Stoops say, methodical. And this offense has done exactly what they want to do. They've been multiple with their personnel sets. They've gone in and out of tempo. They've utilized the Wildcat. They've controlled the ball is what they've done. And South Carolina on the other side, the offense can't do much of anything.
The other thing Kentucky's offense has done by controlling the clock is they've taken 80,000 out of this game. And that would be hard to do because this place was rocking a kick.
Yeah, and this is what South Carolina needs to do, whether it's on defense on this first drive or on offense by creating explosive plays, is getting the crowd back in the game. It starts on this first drive. Kentucky's going to get the ball. South Carolina defense has not been able to stop them, not been able to stop the run. Johnson's been efficient in the pass. Got to get something going, either bringing more pressure or stacking more guys in the box.
Third chance for a return for Lynn Bowden. It gives us a chance to go down to the field and check in with Cole.
Tom, consistent theme for Will Muschamp coming out of the half. Third downs. I asked him, how do you adjust to the Wildcat? He said, Cole, I'm not worried about the Wildcat. Our defense has got to get off the field on third down. We had blown coverages, missed assignments in the secondary on too many third downs. And offensively, he said the same thing. We have to convert on third down, keep drives alive, and keep our defense off the field.
South Carolina just 1 of 6 on third downs. Kentucky 6 of 8. And perhaps a surprising number for Kentucky, able to convert so many third down opportunities. Is there a number of those that were third and long situations? It's not just the running game that's been effective for the Cats tonight. South Carolina brings an extra man to the box. Benny Snell still able to rip off 7 before Chris Lamons came in to make the stop. How will Benny Snell help open up the passing game?
Well, he's getting all the eyes of the linebackers on him. The strength of the South Carolina defense is in the linebackers, but right now they're frustrated. They're not stopping the run. That just bodes well for getting more antsy, get more aggressive downhill on those run fakes, and it's going to open up holes behind them. 4
yards a carry for Benny Snell Jr. Steven Johnson to the edge, complete to K'Wan Ross. Pickup of 6 and a first down for Kentucky.
K'Wan Ross, one of those guys that we've been waiting to see emerge. Just 1 catch early last year. His first was a touchdown, actually the first catch of his career. He's a big body, 6'6", 225, one of those guys that can be explosive. Keep an eye on him in the red zone. But it's nice to see him getting going early because he hasn't had a ton of action, and Kentucky's still looking for some playmakers on the outside.
Snell falls forward for 2. Ross only had 1 catch coming in. He's got 2 tonight. Snell will be the workhorse for Kentucky. Now he's got a blown out cleat. Got to try to slip his Nikes back on. 2nd and 9. Benny Snell may be as valuable to this Kentucky offense as any player is to their offense within the SEC. Blitz coming. Johnson lobs one down the sideline. It is caught but out of bounds. K'Wan Ross was able to haul it in but had a foot across the line. Coverage by Jamarcus King.
K'Wan Ross, the 6'6" target. That's just one that if you're Steven Johnson, you want to leave that on the field a little bit more. You have that matchup, and really Jamarcus King, number 7, the left corner there, he's the guy that if anybody you want to go after. He's had some times where he struggled with his eyes and in coverage. Got to give your receiver a better opportunity to go up and high point that and come down with a completion.
Pressure again. Line holds. Johnson rolls. They convert another. Now 8 of 11 on third downs. Damon Richardson, the sophomore from just down the road in Greer, South Carolina, keeps the drive going.
Boy, the play calling just keeps getting better. Moving the pocket, you have an athletic quarterback. Give him an option to run. And then you get a guy that just sits down in the zone. It's a soft zone coverage, as I alluded to a couple plays ago when I circled the space that South Carolina's given these Kentucky receivers. Find a zone, plant your numbers in front of your quarterback. Great execution.
Lynn Bowden, the freshman, in for the Wildcat. He hasn't given it up yet. He keeps it again. And somehow he squirts free and is able to regain the line of scrimmage, even pick up a half yard. He is slippery, 6'1", 190. 2nd and 9 now. Mason Wolf replaces him on the offensive line. South Carolina desperate for a stop. Johnson will pull it out and take it himself. And Steven Johnson is orchestrating quite the game today.
I don't think Cole would do too well on that carb count.
Why?
This can actually surprise Cole. He's really healthy. But something impressive about Nick Haynes, and hopefully he gets back in the game here quickly. He's listed at 300. He is not. As Cole mentioned, he plays under 270 even right now. So to have the strength and the technicality in your fundamentals, especially in the run game, when you're physically outmatched, outweighed to still be productive and still be one of the better O-linemen up there.
That's amazing in the SEC. 3rd and 4. Johnson fade route. Flags on the play. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to be that size, and no disrespect, but play in the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
Okay, but the size that you face each and every day and every Saturday in the SEC, that's amazing that he can be effective so light.
And it really stressed, as he alluded to, working harder and harder at the fundamentals and the technical side of run blocking.
Offside, defense. Jumped in the neutral zone, causing a reaction by the
Defense was
offense.
offside.
The 5-yard penalty results in
automatic
a
first down thanks to the 5-yard penalty. And Kentucky converts another 3rd down. And if South Carolina can't come back in this game, 3rd down conversions are going to be the difference, it seems. First and 10 from the 11. Kentucky should just play every down like it's 3rd. Carolina shows pressure from the edge. Straight ahead. Benny Snell. Gain of 7 on first down before Daniel Fennell brings him down.
And they're just getting push at the line of scrimmage every single time they run the ball. Even with Taylor Stallworth, number 90, back in there from the early injury. He's their best defensive lineman. They have not been able to establish anything up front to slow down this Kentucky run.
2nd and 8 after the penalty. They'll empty Johnson. Snell from the Wildcat. And it looks like South Carolina made some nice adjustments at the break to try and turn down that Wildcat. 2nd time they've stopped him for no gain. Dante Sawyer that time.
Yeah, that one's a different Wildcat look because you don't actually gain a blocker. They were in a normal 3 wide receiver set. You motion Steven Johnson out. Not your typical Wildcat, but a big 3rd down here for South Carolina. They've been so good in the red zone, so stout. Got to come up with a stop here.
They're going to swap and put Conrad in the slot. Little shift pre-snap. Johnson to the slant. Incomplete. They wanted to get it to Conrad, and they had the matchup they wanted with him going against the 5'10 Lamons.
Guy that got to continue to get targets and looks in the red zone. I like what they did there, swapping, so you get a mismatch now. You want to bring him inside. He's got the athleticism to cut, get out any break, just didn't haul that one down.
27-yard attempt for Austin McGinnis. Drills it. And McGinnis punches it through to cap a 12-play, 42-yard drive that took almost 5.5 minutes off the clock. It's a 2-score lead for the Cats against Will Muschamp's Cox. Sellout tonight at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, where Kentucky has a 17-6 lead on South Carolina. Kentucky looking to move into a tie in first place in the East. You know, game day is going to New York City next week. They'll be at Times Square. Don't tell me New York's not a college football town, because Jack Dempsey's Pub in Manhattan is home to this Kentucky watch party tonight. Next Saturday, College Game Day live from New York City. That's not the only SEC pub in the city, by the way. The folks at Legends tonight in Manhattan, they're typically LSU fans, and they're watching their team get it handed to them in Starkville. It's a 37-7 lead for Mississippi State against LSU.
Who saw that coming?
I didn't.
I knew Mississippi State had a chance, but 30 points? Didn't see that.
West just got a lot more interesting, didn't it?
Yeah. So is the East.
Yeah, indeed. So a special hello to those watching at Dempsey's tonight in New York. They're trying to keep it short of Deebo Samuel. And to the 29-yard line. It's a first catch for Brian Edwards tonight. sophomore from Conway, had 10 catches the first 2 games. They haven't been able to get the ball to him.
Really haven't been able to get the ball to anybody they want. We haven't seen them move Deebo Samuels around as much as I was expecting to try to get him touches either.
South Carolina trying to pick up the tempo here a little bit on 2nd and 7. It's a 3-man rush for Kentucky. Bentley pulled it back before delivering to Tyson Williams, a transfer from Chapel Hill. Tyson spent a couple of seasons at North Carolina. Transferred in, had a redshirt last year. Deebo Samuel far into the formation on this 3rd and 3. Hayden Hurst the slot inside of it. Bentley looking right, now back left towards Deebo. Great hands and a South Carolina first down. Pickup of 9.
Boy, what a big 3rd down. It's just a progression read. Bentley works all the way from right to left. Ball comes out a little high, but Deebo's a special player.
It's only their 2nd 3rd down conversion tonight. Kentucky brings 4 this time. Bentley, long throw, caught by Edwards. Trying to hang a U-turn on Gervais and only found another yard out of it. Edwards and Westry there. Pickup of 8.
I think you're starting to see a little more confidence out of Bentley. That was a rip. Last one came out a little high. That one was right on the money. The more a quarterback is comfortable and confident, strings together some completions, the more that ball starts coming out of his hands exactly how he wants.
On 2nd and short, he wants to take a shot. They convert the first down to Edwards, who has his 2nd catch on this drive.
It's good here. I think South Carolina is trying to push the tempo a little bit. They're never going to be a team that goes lightning fast, but no huddle here. Bentley's relaying the protection of the O-line. All the skill positions are looking at the sideline. They're ready to go.
Perfect 2nd half for Bentley. Bentley's able to stay perfect. Now 8 for 8 this half.
Tell you what, Tom, this is the 3rd time on this drive that Bentley's first progression has been Hayden Hurst. They're trying to get him the ball. Kentucky's doing a great job of matching up with him underneath, really bracketing him at times. And Bentley's had to come off that first read every single time.
Interesting point made by offensive coordinator Kurt Roper about doing just that, and great quarterbacks. Bentley delivers on time. That's good for a first down. And Kurt Roper was coaching Eli Manning at Ole Miss. He said, I realized quickly the great quarterbacks make great coordinators, in the sense that Eli Manning was so good that the play would come in, as Deebo Samuel is injured now, the play would come in and Eli would immediately, even pre-snap, get off of his first look. And this is not what South Carolina fans want to see. Deebo Samuel, who's got a history of hamstring injuries, holding his lower left leg. Good to see him on his feet. We step away for a timeout. South Carolina's got some momentum going. Can they get their star back on the field? There's been a different looking South Carolina team here in the 2nd half, but their star, Deebo Samuel, is under that 10. 17-6 lead for Kentucky. Here's what happened at the tail end of this catch. Left leg.
Gets his foot caught under there. Did walk off. That's one of those that probably will start to stiffen up the more he's out there.
Jake Bentley has been perfect in the 2nd half. He got in a roll late in the 2nd quarter. Bentley pump and go. Nobody's going, so he'll take off himself, and he slides at the 20. They'll mark him down at the 19-yard line, or pardon me, the 21-yard line. Their gain of 5. Here's what they're missing with Deebo Samuel under the medical tent. 5 catches for a $122 and a touchdown on the game's opening play.
Yeah, he's the go-to guy for Bentley, but what I like on this drive, they've been going a lot of spacing, a lot of underneath routes, allowing Bentley just to go through his progression against off zone. They took a shot there. Bentley made the smart decision of tucking it and getting positive yardage because it wasn't there.
14 consecutive completions for Jake Bentley. An easy 15. Tyson Williams. Let's check in with Cole.
Tom, South Carolina wide receiver Deebo Samuel just came out of the medical tent. Looks like that left ankle may have been retaped. Also jogging down the sideline to test it out. Helmet's on. Looks like he's ready to re-enter.
They'll do so with 1:15 and counting in the 3rd quarter. Deebo told us something that kind of surprised me yesterday. He can't touch his toes.
I know, right? I tell you, though, the fast guys I've been around are the most tightly bound. Can't ever touch their toes. I always could touch mine. That's probably why I wasn't the fast guy.
10th play of the drive on play action. Bentley finds Hurst. First down inside the 10. Jake Bentley loves Hayden Hurst because he says he's the most unselfish player on this team.
Great design play here. They leak Hurst underneath from the opposite side. Means a linebacker has trouble trailing him. Like I said, they've been trying to feed him the ball the entire drive, running spots and stick routes. Kentucky's done a good job of covering him, so you take him from one side of the scrimmage or one side of the O-line to the other there. They were able to find some space.
11th play of this drive for South Carolina. Against pressure, incomplete. First miss in a while for Bentley, trying to sneak it into Casey Crosby. 16 consecutive completions before that misses. You see Deebo worried about that left ankle.
You know what it looks like? They probably taped it a little too tight. It looked like he was running off and couldn't hardly move it. Sometimes when you get spatted on the outside there, your ankle just can't even move. So it looked like he was trying to loosen it up there a little bit.
2nd and goal. First red zone appearance tonight for South Carolina. Remember, the previous score came on a 68-yard catch and run. They missed the extra point. Bentley has time, will take off. And he takes it inside the 5. That'll set up 3rd and goal. Figured we'd have a ball game late into this Saturday night. That's exactly what we have as we head to the 4th quarter in Columbia, South Carolina. A little bit of hitch and Deebo's giddy up. The Gamecocks close to regaining momentum. We head to the 4th quarter, 17-6 Kentucky. We start the 4th quarter, the chance to get the crowd back into it. Bentley rolling, looking, running. He'll try to pylon. He is just short at the 1-yard line. Mike Edwards took him out of bounds. And now 4th and goal. Courtney Love with some extra pushing. Bentley trying to be the star.
Whew. Laying it on the line. What a great job by Kentucky rallying there. See him playing back, and as soon as Bentley makes that decision, 3-4 hats to the ball. That crowd that was just so hyped right before we got into the start of the 4th quarter, they'll get back on your side.
Eli Watson has been a playmaker from that will linebacker spot, filling a lot of holes. He's off the field now. 4th and goal from the 1 for South Carolina. Dowdle bottled up and dropped, and Kentucky turns him over on downs again. Derek Beatty Jr., same guy, same play.
Boy, Beatty has come up big. Jamar Watson mixing it up there as well.
This place is eerily quiet. 80,000 people since the missed opportunity right there for Will Muschamp's South Carolina squad. They couldn't convert on 4th and goal. 6th South Carolina possession in Kentucky territory. 0 points out of it. Cats defense with another big stick and a stop. They'll be on offense after this. Well, my favorite teacher ever, my mom, Susie Hart, was my teacher throughout most of middle school. Had to put up with me at home and at school.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't like putting up with you for 4 quarters.
Point well taken. You can't put me in detention, though.
That's what you think.
Thank you, Mom, and all of my teachers and all of our teachers to get us to where we are today. I think my mom, like yours, has probably got the Vandy game going on a second screen right now, too. Vandy and Kansas State over on ESPNU. That's turned into a great one. 2nd and 6 for Kentucky. Johnson goes left after looking right, and contact and a flag. So Marcus King is a very talented cornerback, but one that this coaching staff is looking for more consistency out of. If we get 4 or 5 misplays
Pass
out of our
interference.
cornerback,
Number 7.
that can lead to some bad
15-yard
situations
penalty from the previous spot.
overall.
First down.
And so Kentucky will be gifted some yardage here. Turned around late to play the ball, but that's a lot of contact.
Yeah, just a little late to get his head around. Would have been fine if he gets it around 3 steps before that, 2 steps before that, just a hair late.
7 flags to cost South Carolina 45 yards. A lot of those were procedural on the offensive side and backed them up. Here's Stephen Johnson, a first down run, and he scrambles out of bounds for a gain of 22.
Really, all night we've seen South Carolina do a good job scraping a linebacker, crashing on that handoff, so they had the running back accounted for, and scraping to cover Stephen Johnson there, but not that time. And that's Johnson's mobility. That's why he's so dangerous. He's been so efficient tonight. Then when you least expect it, he'll beat you hard with his legs.
South Carolina brings another extra defender to the box. And a couple up the middle for Benny Snell. Talking about moms, great teachers.
Another great one here.
Oh,
Look at that.
look at my crew.
Someone's birthday.
Yeah.
Look at those kiddos.
Lizzie, Andrew, and Emma, you didn't bring me a birthday hat, though. I get to celebrate without them and celebrate with you.
This is why I'm not going to put you in detention. You can't do that on your birthday.
It's fair. You only turn 28 once, and this has been a fantastic day with my family away from home.
Jeez,
Very
all of a
cool.
sudden I'm older than you now. I don't know how that happened.
I've never been very good. I didn't say my mom was my math teacher.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, pal. JJ, our wonderful assistant booth coordinator, presented me with a cupcake this morning. Most of it got in my mouth.
And what was your wish? You blew up the camera.
I
don't remember.
shared it with our group, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. We haven't had any incidents down on the field tonight, so my wish came true. What is this, week 3, and we've already had 3 birthday celebrations with our great producer Joe Taylor, and your birthday week 1.
It's all downhill from here.
I know. 3rd down and 6 for Kentucky. They've been magnificent on 3rd down all night, and they're stopped short on this one. 9.5 minutes to go for South Carolina. We keep saying it. It sounds like a broken record, to find some momentum and to do so without Deebo Samuel.
Haven't been able to hit a big pass play for momentum. Their defense, outside of that early interception by Sky Moore, hasn't done much to change the tide and get momentum.
Austin McGinnis on to attempt a 44-yard field goal. So make it a 2-touchdown lead for Kentucky. And really put the pressure on Carolina. Wow, he drills another. That one was halfway up the net. And Kentucky able to convert and close out a 6-play, 50-yard drive. Well, Carolina fans are thinking it sure would be nice to have Deebo Samuel as a returner here. Now, Rashad Fenton had a return against LSU a couple years ago. They went 13 years without a kickoff return for a score until Fenton and Deebo started doing it. And they got 4 now the last 22 games. Rico Dowdle is back now, replacing Samuel as a deep return man. Dowdle from the 3. And surges his way forward to the 23-yard line. In Florida, Bentley over the middle, a little high, but still caught for a first down. Able to find Shi Smith. And it's a gain of 25.
Good to hear his name called. I mean, widely considered the fastest guy on the team. With Deebo down, you got to have somebody step up and make some plays. It's a great drive starter for South Carolina.
Jake Bentley's been magnificent in the second half, but most of them dink and dunk easy throws. Now trying to stretch that arm out a little bit. Here's Brian Edwards. Brought down just shy of the first down for a gain of 9.
And Tom, they go back to a simple snag play with a tight end. They have probably ran that play 10 times tonight.
Kentucky's loading up the box here on 2nd and 1. Bentley down the sideline. Great back shoulder for a first down to Edwards. And he carries it all the way inside the 15. Thirty-yard gain.
What a great mid-throw adjustment here by Jake Bentley. Putting that on the back hip, the back shoulder, instead of going for the long throw downfield.
And it came on a 2nd and 1 after Kentucky thought run. Bentley pulls it back and incomplete. Almost too much time. Josh Allen brought the pressure.
This is hard to do. You got a receiver, Brian Edwards, going deep. He's even. You put it on his back hip. Much more high percentage throw there. Great mid-throw adjustment by Bentley.
And while we're in replay, things got a little nuts here. South Carolina student section littering the field with some water bottles. They're not very happy. Did Bentley take a late hit there? Zach Bailey, the right tackle, got into it with one of the Kentucky players. We'll try to find a look. 2nd and 10. Bentley steps up, gonna try to run again. Can't evade Kentucky. And Mike Edwards, who came up for the stop. This was the previous play. Watch 41 Mike Edwards, or pardon me, Josh Allen, and Bentley went down like he got smoked.
Couldn't tell if he gave him a little shiver or Bentley took a fall there.
Third and 11. 8 in coverage. Hurst taken out by Beatty. So Hurst will come off for a play. South Carolina's gone for it on 4th and short a couple of times. They've been stopped twice. This is a 4th and 6. The running back is Tyson Williams. Casey Crosby, the replacement tight end, slot left side. Now they drop. They've given Bentley a lot of different looks. Everybody's covered. They're trying to fit it in back corner. Got it! Touchdown, South Carolina. And Ortre Smith. The freshman from Mount Pleasant somehow found his way open.
This is a second reaction by Jake Bentley and by Ortre Smith. He just keeps running this route. His window is actually on the other side of the hash, but continues his route all the way in great vision and patience by Bentley, letting things develop and then finding Ortre in the back of the end zone.
South Carolina's missed an extra point already tonight. And that one's good. And we got a ball game. 6:26 to go in Columbia, South Carolina. And the Gamecocks convert a 4th down for the first time tonight. Jake Bentley leading them with emotion. His second touchdown pass of the night. Ortre Smith's first as a Gamecock. Late in Columbia. And a 1-touchdown game. This place has come alive now. South Carolina led after one play. All Kentucky since, and now it's a 20-13 game. And it's what Kentucky feared, getting this crowd back into the game. opportunity for a return for Kentucky and the freshman Lynn Bowden. Let's take another look at Jake Bentley's second touchdown pass of the night.
Again, great patience. You're going to have a deep mesh here, so you're going to have these receivers are going to set up just on the other side of the goal line. Or Trey Smith's just going to keep working all the way back across the end zone, and Bentley does a great job of being patient. None of his receivers at the sticks are open. He waits. Spot opens up in the corner there with an accurate throw. Great play design, great patience by Bentley.
Kentucky worked all week on a silent count. We're going to let you have a chance to experience what Williams-Brice Stadium is all about. They're backed up in front of the student section, and this place will be loud this entire possession.
Kentucky definitely prepared for this, but sometimes you can't even prepare for it. It's so loud, and it's so dynamic. You got to make sure you're on point with your communication, your non-verbal communication, or, like we've seen tonight, get first downs, and that quiets them down.
What was the loudest stadium you played in?
This was up there in the fourth quarter in 2011, but I'd have to say the Swamp down in Florida. Played a tight game with them in 2011. There was a fourth down late in the fourth quarter that was, it shook your bones. It was, I couldn't hear myself yelling, screaming at the top of my lungs.
Snell bottled up. No gain. In fact, he lost a yard. Dante Sawyer met him. And that's going to leave third down. They've been so good on third downs tonight. Mark Stoops' team 8 of 14 to keep drives alive. Eddie Grant's offense came in one of the worst in college football. To turn that stat on its head tonight, and it's loud again. Johnson escapes again, and he converts with his legs one more time, and nobody's got an angle on him. Steven Johnson finally runs out of gas inside the 10. That is a 54-yard sprint for the senior quarterback.
Wow. And that was a point of emphasis for the South Carolina defense, having eyes on Steven Johnson, especially on third down. See Brunson here lined up over the middle. That's his responsibility. He's supposed to have eyes on Johnson, gets distracted at the line of scrimmage, and that's how he can beat you. So dangerous with his legs, and the top takes a slide here at the end. Not sure if he was tired or if he's doing that on purpose to try to milk a little bit more clock, but either way, huge play for Kentucky.
Dante Sawyer helped off the field. It's been an amazing journey for Steven Johnson, who started playing for Super Bowl champ Doug Williams at Grambling. Eventually left and went the junior college route. And then in December of 15, Kentucky was in a quarterback pinch. Reese Phillips had transferred away. Patrick Tolles, a grad transfer to Boston College. And Eddie Grant and Darren Hinshaw were desperate for a quarterback. They had to get somebody and get him quick. They found Steven Johnson. They beat Arkansas State for him. Now Benny Snell in as the Wildcat. And he's looking to go 8-4 as the starting quarterback for Kentucky is Steven Johnson. And Snell picks up a yard.
And even more amazing about that story and finding Steven Johnson, you know, from my experience being a junior college guy that was under-recruited, that's Steven Johnson's story. He was light in high school, successful, ended up getting a look from Doug Williams, former Super Bowl champion and MVP quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Gave him a shot at Grambling State. Williams was no longer with Grambling State after that first year. Steven Johnson transferred back to a junior college. And then when Kentucky came calling and looking for a quarterback, they made a phone call to Doug Williams and said, hey, what about this kid? Doug Williams said, he's got big school talent without the big school size. Can't miss on him, though.
Here's Benny Snell. Takes it down to the 6. Timeout. 2:15 to go. South Carolina trying to save some clock.
First charge timeout, South Carolina. 30-second timeout.
On 3rd and goal, Benny Snell in the Wildcat again. Tries a duck and dive, and that'll set up a 4th and goal. And they can bring on McGinnis again as Carolina uses another timeout.
Second charge, timeout.
Bentley in the South Carolina offense.
30-second timeout.
Trying to do it without their star player on the offensive side, and Deebo Samuel. McGinnis from 21. And he chucks it through. Steven Johnson with the big run on that one to really open up this game and seemingly seal it for Kentucky, up 10 with 2:07 to go. Tennis. 2:04 to go. Let's check in with Cole.
Tom, costly drive for the Gamecocks last time out. They'll take the field offensively, and they'll do it without star right tackle Zach Bailey. Left the field on crutches, had his right knee examined before leaving the field, has not returned from the locker room.
Yeah, Bailey had been playing right tackle this season. But Cole, I know he's a guy that you really liked the last couple of seasons for his proficiency up front.
I thought he was one of the best guards in the SEC last fall, Tom. I had him as my first string all-SEC left guard. Thought he had done a really nice job making the transition to right tackle this fall.
He played at Somerville High School for the legendary John McKissick, who just retired a couple of years ago after 662 wins in high school. Bentley pressured, and they get to him. A sack for Josh Allen. 1:52 and the clock rolling. South Carolina needs a pair of scores. If Kentucky can hold on, this is going to set up a massive showdown next week with Florida, a team that the Cats have had no luck against. Not just lately, but over the years, and it's picked off by Beatty. Another big play for the junior Derek Beatty. 2 4th down stops, and now his first pick of the year.
Tough. That's tough. I mean, you got a defense that's trying to keep everything in front of them. You got a 6'3", 190-pound corner in Derek Beatty that's playing off underneath coverage, and Bentley's just trying to make something happen.
8 tackles, 2 4th down stops, and now a pick for Beatty.
See Beatty with just great eyes. He's got help over the top, so he's just playing underneath, reading Bentley's eyes, and with nothing and no route underneath to hold him. That's an easiest interception he may ever have.
The trials and tribulations of a young quarterback. Victory formation for Kentucky. They'll go into that Florida game, by the way, a series in which they've lost 30 in a row. There's been drama, there's been controversy.
We'll see. I still don't think we know exactly who Florida is. I mean, just what, 6 points going into the 4th quarter there. Felipe Franks with a huge throw at the end of it. He threw that almost 70 yards in the air. But we learned a lot about the SEC East tonight with South Carolina not living up to expectations. Kentucky exceeding, I think, our expectations. And we're going to learn a lot more next week, Florida, Kentucky.
This is the first time Kentucky has 4 consecutive wins over a 4-season stretch against an SEC opponent outside of Vanderbilt since Bear Bryant Company did it to Florida back from 1948 to 1951. It's been a while. There's really no rhyme or reason to Kentucky's recent success against South Carolina except this. Mark Stoops, in this 4-game win streak, has used a very methodical offense. They've used the Wildcat almost to perfection going back a few years ago, and a great opportunistic defense. And that seemingly will be the blueprint for Stoops' squad the rest of the season. Well, Muschamp in South Carolina, this great start. Their wins against North Carolina State and Missouri, both away from home. Don't feel like a great start now. They lost 4 in a row to Kentucky. And they got to go back to the drawing board. Steven Johnson improves his record as a starter with the Cats to now 8-4. It's a 10-point win for Kentucky on the road. We'll be back with more from Columbia in a moment. But first, let's get you back to Dari and the gang.